Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to show you a cool position where it's white to play and win. This A pawn is looking pretty scary, but white has a way to win this game. See if you can figure it out. You might think rook check and rook to A6, but try to calculate out what would happen if the king guards that square. So take a second, devote some thought to it. Let me know in the comments if you get it. And while you're thinking about that, let me ask you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income that I earn on this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber helps us out a lot. All right, let's get started here. This pawn wants to promote. What do you do as white? So let's talk about a bad thing. If you just go take this pawn, they queen, right? That's not the right idea for white. You want to see what you can do to get behind this pawn or stop this pawn somehow, maybe with a knight move. Something crazy, right? Well, let's talk about it. The first move is rook h6. Great, so you're checking. The whole idea is you want to get to this square. So if the king just, for example, runs up the board, this would be a terrible idea. Why? Because it allows you to get to a6 and collect this pawn. So black really wants to stay attached to this a6 square. That really gives them two options, b7 or b5. If they go to b5, they're giving up this pawn with check. That's the important detail. And after they move, this is a win for white. It's a little tricky, but essentially this knight jumps back and holds everything together to collect that pawn. So feel free to mess with that in your own as well. So really there's only one decent move for black, which is to play king b7. Right? This is watching over the a6 square. It's threatening this promotion. And the question is, what are you going to do about it? You can't play rook a6, so how are you defending this? And here you have a couple of options. You have a knight move to d8 or a knight move to d6. What would you play? Take a second. Think about it. So if you play knight d6, this is actually a blunder because the king can play, I don't know, king a8, for example, and there's nothing you can do. There's just not enough time to stop this pawn. You can, I don't know, do something like this. They promote. What are you going to do? You take. Right? There's no stalemate trick. There's no fork. There's nothing. Right? If there's thinking about those kinds of tricks. So what do? You don't play knight d6. That's what you do. Instead, you play knight d8 check. The king has a couple of options. Again, you can go to a7. You can go up the board. But remember, your whole goal is I want to stay attached to this a6 square. So you don't want to go to like c8, for example, because then I can just go right to a6 and I've won this pawn. You want to stay attached. So black plays king a7. What do you do now? Well, now you have a knight check. Knight to c6 check. If the king comes down the board, you can play this little fork. Discovered check. This is double check. Kind of nice. And then you win this pawn. This is no problem at all. So they don't want to play down the board, but they can play to a8. And this position looks very similar to the last one. What is the way to win this? This is kind of like the crux of the puzzle here. So if you want to take a second right at this moment and find the killer move, see if you can figure it out. It's not super obvious. Okay, maybe you're thinking take here, and if they promote, you can fork them with the rook. Good idea. You have the right idea, but you can't win with just a knight. This is a draw. So that's not the winning idea. That is one way to draw. So instead, after king a8, the killer move, the knockout move, knight a5. What a move. So what is this even threatening? Well, if this pawn promotes, you have this nice sequence of rook a6 check. The king is being attacked. This square is covered. They have to go to b8. And now you can release this discovered attack on the queen with knight c6 after the king moves. You take this, and it's a completely winning endgame. Just go here, get that pawn, win the game. So you might ask yourself, well, what if black doesn't promote? They don't have to promote. That's just what I'm showing. But can't they do something else? Sure, they can. If they do this, what do I do? Well, now I play knight b3. I'm covering this. Now you're never promoting. This rook is free to take, to go down here, to take, to just go everywhere and take. Awesome arrows. So that's pretty much the answer. Like, what are you going to do if you don't move the pawn? You can move this pawn? Same exact idea. Knight b3. I want to cover this first, and then I'll worry about this pawn on h4. And then I'll come after this king in the corner, and white's going to win the game. So that's pretty much the answer to this puzzle. It's tricky because you have to spot this whole sequence of all these checks, knight d5, and then going in the corner like this. There's this check, so you got to make sure you're always trying to stay attached to this a6 square. Staying attached. Knight c6, and I just love this combination. Bang. That's the move. Putting your knight on the 5th rank. Crazy. Right in the side of the board. And they promote all for nothing. That's the sequence. Great. So hopefully you're able to figure it out from this initial position. Black couldn't promote the pawn. I guess white couldn't stop the pawn. So white didn't stop the pawn, but they won because of that discovered attack. So hopefully you're able to find it. If you were, let me know. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, thanks so much. Bye.